The Nature of Personal Reality, a Seth book by Jane Roberts, read by Martin John. Now, resume dictation. Chapter 3. Suggestion, Telepathy, and the Grouping of Beliefs. Ideas have an electromagnetic reality. Beliefs are strong ideas about the nature of reality. Ideas generate emotion. Like attracts like, so similar ideas group about each other, and you accept those that fit in with your particular system of ideas. The ego attempts to maintain a clear point of focus, of stability, so that it can direct the light of the conscious mind with some precision and concentrate its focus in areas of actuality that seem permanent. As mentioned in Chapter 1, the ego, while a portion of the whole self, can be defined as a psychological structure composed of characteristics belonging to the personality as a whole, organized together to form a surface identity. Now, generally speaking, through the period of a lifetime, this allows for the easy emergence of many tendencies and abilities. It permits many more potentials to emerge than would otherwise be possible. If this were not the case, for example, your interest throughout life would not change. The ego, while appearing to be permanent, then forever changes as it adapts to new characteristics from the whole self and lets others receive. Otherwise, it would not be responsive to the needs and desires of the entire personality. Because it is intimately connected with other portions of the self, it does not basically feel alienated or alone, but proudly acts as the director of the conscious mind's focus. It is an adjunct of the conscious mind in that respect. Basically, it understands its source and its nature. It is the portion of the mind, then, that looks out upon physical reality and surveys it in relation to those characteristics of which it is composed at any given time. It makes its judgments according to its own idea of itself. It is the most physically oriented portion of your inner self, but it is not, however, apart from your inner self. It sits on the window sill, so to speak, between you and the exterior world. It can also look in both directions. It makes judgments about the nature of reality in relationship to its and your needs. It accepts or does not accept beliefs. It cannot shut out information from your conscious mind, however, but it can refuse to pay attention to it. This does not mean that the information becomes unconscious. It is simply thrown into a corner of your mind, unassimilated and not organized into the parcel of beliefs upon which you are presently concentrating. It is there if you look for it. It is not invisible, nor do you have to know exactly what you're looking for, which of course would make the situation nearly impossible. All you have to do is decide to examine the contents of your conscious mind, realizing that it contains treasures that you have overlooked. Another way to do this is to recognize through examination that the physical effects you meet exist as data in your conscious mind, and the information that formerly seemed unavailable will be obvious. The seemingly invisible ideas that cause your difficulties have quite obvious physical effects, and these will lead you automatically to the conscious area in which the initiating beliefs or ideas reside. Once more, if you become aware of your own conscious thoughts, These themselves will give you clues, for they clearly speak your beliefs. If, for example, you scarcely have enough money on which to live, and you examine your thoughts, you may find yourself constantly thinking, "I can never pay this bill. I never have any luck. I'll always be poor." Or you will find yourself envying those who have more, degrading the value of money perhaps, and saying that those who have it are unhappy or at best spiritually poor. When you find these thoughts in yourself, you may say, and rather indignantly, "But those things are true. I am poor. I cannot meet my bills," and so forth. In doing so, you see, you accept your belief about reality as a characteristic of reality itself, and so the belief is transparent or invisible to you, but it causes your physical experience. You must change the belief. I will give you methods to allow you to do this. You may follow your thoughts in another area and find yourself thinking that you're having difficulty because you are too sensitive. Finding the thought, you may say, "But it is true, I am. I react with such great emotion to small things." But that is a belief and a limiting one. If you follow your thoughts further, you may find yourself thinking, "I am proud of my sensitivity. It sets me apart from the mob," or "I am too good for this world." These are limiting beliefs. They will distort true reality, your own true reality. These are but a few examples of the ways in which your own quite conscious ideas may be invisible to you while being available all the time and limiting your experience. Now, we have been speaking of the conscious mind, for it is the director of your activities physically. I told you at the beginning of this chapter that it was important to realize the ego's position as the most exterior portion of the inner self, not alienated, but looking outward to physical reality. Using this analogy, portions of the self on the other side of the conscious mind constantly receive telepathic data. Remember, there are no divisions, so the terms used are simply to make the discussion easier. The ego tries to organize all material coming into the conscious mind for its purposes. The egos are those that have to surface at any given time in the self's overall encounter with physical reality. As I said, the ego cannot keep information out of the conscious mind, but it can refuse to focus directly upon it. The telepathic information, using our analogy, comes through deeper portions of the self. These parts have such an amazing capacity to receive that some organization is necessary to shift the data. Some is simply not important to you. It concerns people of whom you have no other knowledge. You are a sender and a receiver. Because ideas have an electromagnetic reality, beliefs, because of their intensity, radiate strongly. Due to the organizing structure of your own psychological nature, similar beliefs conjugate, and you will readily accept those with which you already agree. Limiting ideas, therefore, predispose you to accept others of a similar nature. Exuberant ideas of freedom, spontaneity, and joy automatically collect others of their kind also. There is a constant interplay between yourself and others in the exchange of ideas, both telepathically and on a conscious level. The interchange follows, again, your conscious beliefs. It is fashionable in some circles to believe that you react physically to telepathically received messages despite your conscious beliefs or ideas. This is not the case. You react only to those telepathic messages that fit in with your conscious ideas about yourself and your reality. Let me add that the conscious mind is itself spontaneous. It enjoys playing with its own contents, so I am not here recommending a type of stern mental discipline in which you examine yourself at every moment. I'm telling you about countering measures that you can take in areas in which you are not pleased with your experience. Now give us a moment for Willie. In an odd way, he is himself somewhat frightened of his behavior. Rupert has decided to leave the house more often and be free to go outside whenever he wishes, not to spend so much time inside because of his work. Now he has sent Willie out as a testing device, and the cat does not know exactly what has happened. Willie likes to go out, but he is not used to being out all of the time. To an extent, he feels banished. He simply picked up Rupert's feelings now, which are strong, and Rupert's growing vehemence of intent. In a way, these were not directed at the cat, yet Rupert also knew the cat would pick them up. Willie was always the house cat, you see, and Jane stayed in the house all day writing. So it is the house cat who changes habits, rather than Rooney, their other cat. To an extent you both acquiesced, the doors being left open. You obviously have only to keep them closed. Do you follow me here? Now give us a moment. Rupert is beginning now to itch to go out, but it is the cat who itches. Your Willie is in no danger, but show him your love and regulate his ingoing and outgoing. Not that Rupert need regulate his, but that his distraction or impatience causes the cat to overreact. Rupert, sensing the channels, does not represent a development and has been possible some time, but it is only now entering his experience. Do remind him of his success in this and other areas, for the feeling and reality of success can and will be carried over. I will end our session. Session 617, September 25, 1972, 9:21 p.m., Monday. Good evening. We will resume dictation. You will react, therefore, to all the information that you receive according to your conscious beliefs concerning the nature of reality. The deeper portions of the self do not have to take the ego's idea of time into consideration, so these portions of the self also deal with data that would ordinarily escape the ego's perception, perhaps until a certain point of ego time was reached. The ego, which must manipulate most directly with the everyday world, takes time, clock time, quite seriously. Even the ego, however, realizes to some extent that clock time is a convention, but it does not like such conventions broken. It will often neglect any clairvoyant or precognitive material that comes into the conscious mind from the deeper portions of the self. On occasion, when the ego recognizes that such data can be highly practical, it then becomes more liberal in its recognition of it, but only when such information fits in with its concepts of what is possible and not possible. Now, the ego's concepts are your concepts, since it is a part of you. If you dwell on ideas of danger or potential disaster, if you think of the world mainly in terms of your physical survival and consider all those circumstances that may work against it, then you may find yourself suddenly aware of precognitive dreams that foretell incidences of accidents, earthquakes, robberies, and murders. Your own idea of the perilous nature of existence becomes so strong that the ego allows this data to emerge, even though it is out of time, because your fearful beliefs convince it that you must be on guard. The incidents do not even have to involve you. From all the unconscious telepathic and clairvoyant data available, however, you will be aware of this particular grouping, and it will only serve to reinforce your idea that the existence is above all perilous. If this information becomes available in the dream state, you may say, "I am frightened of dreams. My bad dreams so often come true." So you try to inhibit memory of your dreams. Instead, you should examine your conscious beliefs, for they are so strong that they are causing you not only to focus upon calamity in the physical world, but to use your inner abilities to the same end. Telepathic communication is constant. This is usually at an unconscious level merely because your conscious mind is in a state of becoming. It cannot hold all of the information you possess. As an example, if your conscious ideas are relatively positive, you will react to telepathically received information of a similar nature, even if you do so on an unconscious level. As I mentioned earlier, you are also sending your own telepathic thoughts outward. Others will react to those according to their own ideas of reality. A family can constantly reinforce its joy, gaiety, and spontaneity by concentrating on ideas of vitality, strength, and creativity. Or it can let half of its energy slip away by reinforcing sentiments, angers, and thoughts of doubt and failure. Either way, the ideas of reality are reinforced both consciously and unconsciously, not only within the family but among all those with whom the family comes in contact. You get what you concentrate on. There is no other main rule.
Here Seth quotes himself exactly from an unscheduled session held on February 26, 1972, during our vacation in Marathon, Florida.
It may be easy for you to see beliefs that are invisible to others in themselves. Reading this book, you may be able to point at friends or acquaintances and see clearly that their ideas are invisible beliefs which limit their experience, and yet be blind to your own invisible beliefs, which you take so readily as truth or characteristics of reality. Your sense data, again, will most definitely reinforce your ideas. You will also react clairvoyantly and telepathically to inner information at an unconscious level that is, once more, collected under the organization of your quite conscious concepts concerning existence in general and your own in particular. So you are locked into physical situations that are corroborated by the great evidence of sense data. And, of course, it is convincing because it reflects so beautifully, so creatively, and so actively your own ideas and beliefs, whether they are positive or negative. In greater terms, positive and negative have little meaning, for the physical experience is meant as a learning one. But if you are unhappy, then the word negative has a meaning. I expect that by now my readers have at least begun to examine their beliefs, and perhaps obtained a glimpse of some invisible ones that have been accepted before as definite aspects of reality. Now, if you are honest with your lists, you will finally come to what I call core beliefs, strong ideas about your own existence. Many other subsidiary beliefs that earlier seemed separate from each other should now appear quite clearly as being offshoots of core beliefs. They seem logical only in their relationship to a core idea. Once the core belief is understood to be a false one, the others will fall away. It is the core belief which is strong enough to so focus your perception that you perceive from the physical world only those events that correlate with it. It is also the strength of the core belief that draws up from the vast bank of inner knowledge only those events that seem to fit within its organization. Now let me give you a brief example of a core belief. It is a blanket belief. Human nature is inherently evil. This is a core belief. About it will spring events that only serve to reinforce it. Experiences, both personal and global, will come into the perception of a person who holds this belief that will only serve to deepen it further. From all the available physical data of newspapers, television, letters, and private communication, he or she will concentrate only upon those issues that prove the point. Suspicion of others will grow, to say nothing about the individual's personal distrust. The belief will reach into the most intimate areas of his or her life, and finally no evidence will seem to be available to disprove it. This is a sample of an invisible core belief at its worst. A person holding it will not trust a mate, family, friends, colleagues, country, or the world in general. Another more personal core belief is, my life is worthless, what I do is meaningless. Now, a person who holds such an idea will ordinarily not recognize it as an invisible belief. Instead, he or she may emotionally feel that life has no meaning, that individual action is meaningless, that death is annihilation, and connected to this will be a conglomeration of subsidiary beliefs that deeply affect the family involved, and all those with whom such a person comes in contact. In writing down your list of personal beliefs, therefore, leave nothing out. Examine the list as though it belonged to someone else. I did not want to imply that you make a list of specifically negative ideas, however. It is of supreme importance that you recognize the existence of joyful beliefs and take into consideration those elements of your own experience with which you have had success. I want you to capture that feeling of accomplishment and to translate it or transfer it to areas in which you have had difficulty, but you must remember that the ideas exist first and the experience physically follows. You make your own reality. I cannot say this too often. There will be periods where all of your beliefs are at an even par, so to speak. They will agree. The ideas may be quite limited. They may be false. They may be based upon premises that are not true. Their vitality and strength, however, will be quite real and seem to bring excellent results. Wealth is everything. Now, this idea is far from a truth. The person who accepts it completely, though, will be wealthy and in excellent health, and everything will fit in quite well with his beliefs. Yet the idea is still a belief about reality, and so there will be invisible gulfs in his experience of which he is ignorant. On the outside, the situation will look most advantageous, and while the person seems quite content, beneath there will be the gnawing knowledge of incompletion. On the surface, there will be balance. So as your beliefs change, there will be alterations in your experience and behavior, and points of stress, creative stress, while you are learning. Our rich man just mentioned may suddenly realize that his belief is limiting, and that he concentrated upon it exclusively so that money and health became his sole aims. The shattered belief may leave him open to illness, which would seem like a negative experience. Yet through the illness, he may be led to areas of perception he had earlier denied, and he may be enriched in that particular manner. The shifting of belief may then open him to question his other beliefs, and he realizes that in the area of wealth, for example, he did very well because of his beliefs. But in those others, perhaps deeper experiences opened by his illness, he learns that human experience includes dimensions of reality that had earlier been closed to him, and that these are also easily within his reach. And without the illness that originally brought them forth, a new conglomeration of beliefs might emerge. In the meantime, there was stress, but it was creative. Now here's another example. Your conscious thoughts regulate your health. The persistent idea of illness will make you ill. While you believe that you become ill because of viruses, infections, or accidents, then you must go to doctors who operate within that system of belief. And because you believe in their cures, hopefully you will be relieved of your difficulties. Because you do not understand that your thoughts create illness, you will continue to undergo it. However, and new symptoms will appear. You will again return to the doctor. When you are in the process of changing beliefs, when you are beginning to realize that your thoughts and feelings cause illness, then for a while you may not know what to do. In the larger context, you realize that the doctor can at best give you temporary relief, yet you may not be completely convinced as yet of your own ability to change your thoughts. Or you may be so cowed by their effectiveness that you are frightened. So there is a period of stress in between beliefs, so to speak, while you dispense with one set and are learning how to use another. But here you become involved with one of the most meaningful aspects of the nature of personal reality, as you test your thoughts against what seems to be. There may be a time before you learn how to change your thoughts effectively, but you are engaged in basic meaningful endeavor. The truth is, then, that you form your own reality directly. You react consciously and unconsciously to your beliefs. You collect from the physical universe and the interior one data that seems to correlate with your beliefs. Believe, then, that you are a being unlimited by nature, born into flesh to materialize as best you can the great joy and spontaneity of your nature.
Now you may take a break. This will be a shorter chapter because of the previous long one. End of session. Peace, light, and love. Aloha.